What's up, everyone? Welcome to the DNVR Rockies Blake Street Banter Just Baseball crossover here on this beautiful afternoon. I'm Christian Saez here on this Rockies roundtable discussion, and we have an incredible show lined up. There's no bigger sports topic in the world of baseball right now than what we have to talk about tonight. At least from what I've heard. We've got some incredible guests on the show joining with us. First, going down the list from closest to me to farthest from me, Kevin Henry with Just Baseball, Aaron McBride with Blake Street Banter, and Noah Spirek, QB1 with the University of Indiana University, Blake Street Banter, all of the above. Beautiful afternoon, guys. Glad to have you on the show. And Aaron, I'm going to turn it over to you, man, because you and I kind of helped get this thing going with some ideas from Noah, and I'm glad we were able to make this thing work.
It is the beauty of the internet, am I right? Like, you guys, you and Noah were talking, and then Kevin said the tweet thing, and then Noah's like, yo, idea. I was like, all right, let's run it. What else are we doing on a Tuesday night during the World Series? Because
right.
Why not talk rocks, like you said? So I'm excited for this, and I'm officially hosting DNVR, I guess. I don't know. So we'll see how this plays out. Yeah. It's gonna be fun though. I'm excited. Blake Street Banter, DNVR, Just Baseball. Kevin Henry. I mean, we met officially. I have been following your stuff. I'm going to fanboy out a little bit right now. I haven't had the privilege to meet you and all that, but I've read your stuff for years, and like all of your coverage for the Rockies has been fantastic. And it's just like, all right, you're that guy, and I'm now talking to you. So first question for me is, what is the coolest thing like you've actually ever covered ever?
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm going to go on the Wayback Machine because the hair is definitely gray here. So I know the elder statesman. But I'm going to go back to when I was young Noah's age, okay? So lived in Oklahoma. I used to write for the University of Oklahoma with their official magazine. And I got this great idea to go down to Dallas because the Chicago Bulls were going to be there. And Stacey King, who used to play at OU, was then on the Bulls with Jordan, Pippen, the whole crew. And so I actually ended up getting the press pass, ended up going to the Bulls locker room, and you lined up to have your one question with Michael Jordan. And while he answered your question, he gave you an autograph. So that's how much things have changed in the sports biz. But that's absolutely the coolest thing still to this day. I've got the old tape somewhere with Jordan's voice on there, me asking the question. I always will remember that.
That's incredible. And the fact that you get one question, like, could you, like, Charlie Blackmon, he's kind of he was always the dark horse, right? Like, he was always the one trying to get in there. Like, just imagine, like, if you just had to line up to talk to Charlie, and like, Noah, you got to ask about his beard or something. That'd be dope.
Do you remember what question you asked?
If you blew the one question, huh?
Do you remember what question you asked him?
I do. So here's the thing. The article is on Stacey King. So I actually had to ask him about what he thought about King's rookie year in the NBA. And he looked at me like, seriously? But that was all I had. So there you go.
Like the opportunity to be a fan and be a professional. You stuck to it. Exactly. I'm proud of you for that.
That's all I could do, man. So hey.
That's incredible.
Definitely a great moment.
That is awesome. Yeah. Already got the comments going up. Brian, thank you. What up, guys? Very excited to listen in. He is an OG listener of the BSB, big part of our community, just a good all around dude. He's actually going to be making his appearance on BSB here soon. We are doing it might be news to you, Noah, but we're going to do some fan guest stuff coming in the off season. So Brian's actually going to be the first one up in a few weeks. So go ahead and check us out on the BSB there. But we are here to talk the Rocks, right? I mean, the Yankees are up 5-3. Yankees fans are disgusting. Like, what are we doing to Mookie Betts in his glove? Like, Zach Campbell like taught them or something crazy. But do you guys, before we even get to the Rockies, like, does it end tonight? Is there Freddie Freeman magic? Is there Ohtani walk-off in the air?
I feel like, at least from my perspective, I feel like it's just written in the stars. Like this has been the Dodgers series from the get-go, and the Yankees have just been non-existent. Yeah, they got the grand slam just now, but beyond that, like I have no idea what else we're going to get from the Yankees for the remainder of this game. Their pitching has also been kind of terrible as well. So I don't really know what to expect for the remainder of this game. Can I just say, though, real quick on the whole Yankees fan base thing? Yes, Yankees fans, that's kind of on brand for them, the whole trying to rip Mookie's glove off. However, I was seeing a lot of Dodgers fans acting like Yankees fans are the scum of the earth, when in reality, let's not forget that just a few weeks ago, Dodgers fans were throwing trash onto the field when Profar robbed a home run in their laps. So let's level the playing field out a little bit with the fan bases here.
100%. The Dodgers fans have no legs to stand on whatsoever. They are absolutely terrible. They were terrible when they were Colorado.
Yeah.
Just irritating. All right, Kevin, do we see a game 5? Do we see Garrett Cole again on the bump?
So I'm going to go crazy on you. I'm going to say we even see a game 6 because I think after the bullpen game tonight, I think somehow the Yankees figure out how to sneak this one out and then get one tomorrow as well. But I think it ends there in game 6. Rolling the dice, we'll see.
I'm also riding with Kevin. Before the series started, I had Dodgers in 6, and so I'm sticking to my guns, and I like that call.
Dodgers in 6. Yeah, Luis Hill is out. He went 4 strong innings, allowed 3 runs. He leads with a runner on first. So now that that's out of the way, we're done talking about the Dodgers. No more Dodger talk, I promise. Colorado Rockies. We have some things happening. We got payroll cuts. We got gold gloves happening. We got future stars. Like we can start the offseason conversation about who's up next because 40-man decisions are being made soon before the winter meetings. We have to make room on the 40-man. But I want to talk gold gloves first. We have 3 gold glove finalists. The one of them being the Sports Bible Platinum glove. Is it a Platinum glove?
Fielding Bible. Yeah.
Fielding Bible.
Yeah.
So Brenton Doyle, Harry has that recognition, but we have Brenton Doyle in center, Tovar at short, and then we have our boy Rymack, Noah's best friend, Rymack at third as a finalist. Noah, who do you see Rymack getting that gold glove this year? Which of these 3 do you kind of predict getting that gold glove? What are you thinking?
I really, really want Rymack to be awarded with the gold glove. I think Doyle has it locked up, signed, sealed, delivered already. But for Rymack, so many times over the years, he's been a finalist, was almost an all-star for so long, finally got the all-star nod. And now this year, I think he finally does get that gold glove, and he can kind of check another thing off of his career bucket list.
Add into it. So we get a Rymack gold glove bobblehead next year. How much do you disagree with him, Christian?
I don't necessarily completely disagree with you. However, I think that it's going to be that position is the bigger toss up to me because of another NL West guy named Matt Chapman with the Giants. And, Chapman, I think, has more of the he's young. He's kind of fresh onto the scene in San Francisco, and his numbers are really good. And he's just been an incredible force over there in third base for the Giants. So I think that Chapman's going to put a good running against Rymack, but Rymack was pretty solid. I think he's got a decent chance to win it, but I agree with you, Aaron. Doyle, at least from my perspective, Doyle, I think, has the best chance at winning a gold glove. He was already the Fielding Bible Award winner, as you just mentioned. And I think people recognize that Brenton Doyle plays outfield in one of the hardest places to play outfield in. And he has been a walking highlight reel pretty much from the All-Star game on. I mean, every night it felt like he was robbing a home run. He was throwing guys out at third to end games. Like, he kind of put the world on notice. He became NL Player of the Month of July. I think Doyle has the best chance to win the Gold Glove. But Tovar and Rymack, I think, could both be kind of toss-ups depending on how the voters go.
Kevin?
So I love Doyle in center. Obviously, I think that's the Gold Glove for sure. And I tell you what, I'm fascinated to see is what's going to be a future Jackson Merrill, Brenton Doyle rivalry out there in center field. I think that's going to be fascinating to watch these two young guys who just are incredible, both out in the outfield. I do think Tovar is going to get it. I think that Tovar is going to be their second Gold Glove winner this year. I wish Rymack was that guy, but I agree with Christian. I think Chapman is just too tough this year. And I was surprised, obviously, to see Nolan get back in there as that other finalist. And I do think if anybody's going to beat Tovar for that Gold Glove short, it could be Mason Wynn. And I think that he's really a pretty impressive young shortstop as well. So that's another young budding rivalry that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, so Mason Wynn that's a deep cut there, and obviously you're smarter than I am, but I'm seeing the fan graphs. I looked at Ezekiel Tovar because I think I agree with all of you. I think Rymack should fall short. Doyle's a Gold Glove winner. Add it to the fireplace mantle there for Mama Doyle. But Tovar has a very good chance. So I did some research. I looked at fan graphs and I just wrote it down. I think he has the most innings played of any shortstop, eligible shortstop. Only player with single-digit errors with more than 1,300 innings played. He had the second most put-outs of any shortstop. Had the most double plays and double plays started among shortstops. And his runs above average range is second to Bobby Witt and Lindor, who tied with 11th. And I think Tovar had 10. And whatever UZR is, Tovar had an 11.2 with that, which sounds really good. I know it was really high. I just think all of these advanced metrics, I think, are leaning in towards Ezekiel Tovar's favor. However, like you just said, Kevin, Mason Wynn and defensive run saves, just straight up 14 defensive run saves compared to Ezekiel Tovar's 10. However, Ezekiel Tovar played an extra 90 innings compared to Mason Wynn. So like the Jackson Merrill, the Brenton Doyle little combat there, I think we got something with Mason Wynn versus Ezekiel Tovar. And if anytime we can compete against the Cardinals and win, I think it's a win for all of us for unnamed reasons. So, all right, final guesses. So Tovar, yes or no, Christian?
Tovar, I'm going to go with yes. I think he'll win his first.
Kevin?
Yes, for Tovar.
I'm saying yes. Noah?
Yes, sir. I think we're sweeping the board.
Oh, Noah.
Oh,
Noah.
You really are best friends. You really are best friends. Love it. Absolutely. I mean, we don't have a lot to root for, but infield defense and just defense in general across the Colorado Rockies Major League Club is absolutely insane to watch every single night. So I'm here for that. But before we get to the next topic, we have a quiz. Noah, you know this. I probably gave you flashbacks there. So you all have a minute to guess the player. And of course, BSB being the minor league hub for all things Colorado Rockies, shameless plug right there. We are going to test you on your prospect knowledge. I'm giving you a layup on the first one. Second one might be just as easy, but the third one, we'll see what you guys come up with. So randomly throughout the pod tonight, you're going to get three players that you have to guess within a minute. See if you can win. If you're listening, play along. You have 1 minute. You are working as a team. It's not Noah versus Kevin versus Christian. Noah didn't realize that the first time we did it. So you're all working together. You all get one guess per time. So with that being said, I'm going to start my timer. You have 1 minute. The first hint is 3, 2, 1. Played at Texas for 2 years. Had 20 total home runs in college. He was in the 2024 draft class.
Center fielder.
Second round draft pick. He was one of the few draftees this year that got to play in the pros.
Yeah.
Anything clicking, fellas? You got 30 seconds.
Played
in Fresno.
Played in Fresno.
2 homers as a pro. I'm running out of facts, y'all. I thought you'd had it by now. And this is
Rockies or all Major League?
Rockies. I'm not
Rockies, okay.
It's a Rockies pod, dog.
Just making sure.
Super utility, first baseman, center field, left field.
Yeah. I can picture the dude.
I talked to him in Scottsdale, and I can't think of his name. Seriously.
He has initials can be shortened. I remember it. He has like a nickname.
Time's up. Up. You guys are 0 for 1 as a team.
I was gonna say, man, that one.
A layup.
sword on me.
That was Jared Thomas.
Yeah, JT, I knew it.
This is gonna get fun.
Hey, Brian finally said Jared Thomas. Thanks for the help.
Yeah, you could have been piping in earlier, dog. Come on now. So yeah, Jared Thomas, very exciting. Had a very good debut in Fresno. 2-3 weeks there. What did he do? 8 games, so 1 week, 11 hits, a 934 OPS with 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 3 walks to 7 strikeouts in his season debut, which we don't see a lot of from the Colorado Rockies, with draft picks making debuts the year they are drafted. So shout out to JT. Get ready for the next 2 throughout the pod, fellas. All right. We keep hearing about the Colorado Rockies cutting costs, right? Charlie Blackmon's gone. We heard reports that Cal and Austin and Brendan are on the block. Brendan being part of arbitration. Cal and Austin I think their contracts are up. Again, you guys are smarter than I am. Cal's is a mutual option? Or is he just on a 2-year contract?
I believe he's a mutual option.
Yeah, I think
going
so.
into next year. Yeah.
And then Austin, I think, is just his last year of his contract around. So I don't even know the cost. I should have done that research instead of who is Jared Thomas. But they're shopping these guys. What does this actually mean? Like we were just like you just mentioned, Christian. We just saw the Dodgers and Padres in a playoff series, and just the vast difference of the teams that the Colorado Rockies are. Does cutting payroll to prepare for the window 2028 sounds about right to be competitive-ish? Does cutting costs now help? What is the point of cutting costs? Why are we cutting costs? What are the Rockies' plans with this cutting payroll going forward?
Well, I think for me at least, there's 2 parts to that answer. The first part is I think the Rockies and the ownership is starting to realize and see the negative effects of consistent losing, right? And so the main reason that their payroll is going down from what we've heard kind of circulating around the conversations is that the TV revenue was not what they wanted it to be, and the TV revenue has gone down. Now, yes, there's part of that is the fact that they had to switch to a streaming platform with Rockies TV because of the whole RSN, shakeup. But that aside, the Rockies are realizing that it doesn't pay to lose. And so when you're starting to string 6 consecutive plus losing seasons together, you're going to start losing money that you would normally have if you had competitive baseball late into September. So that's the first part of it, of why the payroll is going down. The second part to that is I think it doesn't mean that they can't be successful. Look at the Guardians. And Kevin, you and I talked about this on a pod, just a couple weeks ago, about looking at teams like the Royals, the Guardians, some of these other teams that were able to find success with lower payrolls than the Rockies. It's just about creating very intentional decisions that allow you to be successful. So to me, at least in my book, finding a veteran hitter that can go into your lineup that can be like a Chris Bryant, what you expected to be Chris Bryant, but at a fraction of the cost because you can't afford another Chris Bryant. Someone like that, though, or very intentional moves like that can help you to get a successful lineup. I don't know if they're going to be aggressive enough to do that, but I do think there is a world in which that can happen.
Agreed. And I think one of the biggest things, you just mentioned is it's about being aggressive, but also being smart as well. And I think that Chris Bryant and his health is going to linger over every decision they make this offseason. Because if you really think KB is going to be that DH for 2025, you're not going to go out and sign or even go for a Goldschmidt or somebody like that who could come in and be that big popper. And so I think that that's going to hamstring them just as much as any salary decisions are going to make. And whenever it comes to cutting payroll, you asked the question, Aaron, I'm not sure that it matters this year. I really don't. I think that this year is all about finding those young guys, seeing where they fit, having some of those younger pitchers finally make their way up to Coors, see what they've really got. I don't think that cutting payroll is going to matter in the grand scheme of what the Rockies are going to feel this season.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of echo what they just said. I think in terms of simply the 2025 baseball season, the Rockies are just looking to establish who's going to help the team moving forward. I think they have a lot of question marks with inconsistencies, because if you look at 2023 Nolan Jones and 2024 Michael Toglia, you've got something special, but then switch those years for those players, you don't know. So this is kind of a big year for a lot of the young guys, and by cutting costs, I think they're going to defend it by saying that, look, all the young guys are going to get more innings. That's true. Now you've got to see results.
Yeah.
But this is an unserious franchise if we're not signing free agents. That's what the fans are saying. And perception is pretty important for the man in purple up above. And it's like kind of what I think Christian said, going back-to-back seasons of losing, you can't really do that a third season. But if you don't sign somebody, are you showing that you're actually trying to compete?
Well,
how do you sell that to the fan base that is already disgruntled and agnostic towards the Rockies?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I think that's one of the hardest things, one of the biggest areas in my mind that I just want to see. And I think Rockies fans go back, on this for years, but like wanting to see some action outside of just this outrageous, Chris Bryant deal or something like that, being able to be aggressive. I mean, I got pretty fired up during the trade deadline thing, because I'm like, what are we doing? You're holding on to these catchers, which apparently it ended up coming out that, they tried to get rid of, Diaz, and they couldn't get anything for him. But either way, there's doesn't seem to be that urgency from the Rockies to go out and make moves. And on the flip side of that, and I talked about this on a pod, almost a month ago, if you want to be a destination that players want to come to, you have to show that you're committed to winning as an organization. Not just saying, hey, we hope that some of these guys in our organization and our farm system will end up being good. That's great and all. We do have some really good arms and good bats in the farm system. But you've got to also find ways to circle around that and make decisions that can affect your team right here and right now. And I see Renee in the chat saying, should the Rockies sign Paul Goldschmidt? I don't necessarily think they should sign Paul Goldschmidt, but I do think that something like that could be the answer, right? Like that could at least give Rockies fans some sort of energy towards like, hey, we're making moves. We're trying to win here, and I think Rockies fans have been missing that for a while.
But I also think the Rockies are really going to market themselves this year as this is the youth movement. This is the letting the kids play, and they're going to go all in on that. I mean, I agree. And Renee and I have talked about the possibility of Goldschmidt being there or some big bopper. But even if you put Goldschmidt in the middle of this lineup right now, the way that it is, how much does that move the needle in an NL West that the Padres and Dodgers, and let's face it, the Diamondbacks are going to be probably right up there as well again. So I think that the biggest sell that the Rockies are going to do this year is, look, we've been telling you for years, Zach Veen's coming. We've been telling you for months that we're excited about Sean Sullivan, Chase Dollander, these young pitchers. And I think that that's really what they're going to lean into this year, including, very possibly Amador at second base and moving Rogers off of it.
I sure hope that's the case. I think a lot of the Rockies nation and the Rockies fans have just seen what has happened in past off seasons, and Chris Bryant is the poster boy for this. Where the front office goes out and they get a guy that they think can be a face of the franchise after, think about it. They let Trevor Story walk. They bring in Chris Bryant. Charlie Blackmon now leaves. Are they due to bring in another name like a Paul Goldschmidt, as Renee said? He historically has dominated at Coors, like Brian said. Yeah. I just don't know if that's super wise, considering the contributions we got from Michael Toglia this year at first base.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and like you said earlier, they need to figure out what Toglia has. Go ahead, Kevin.
No, just real quick. I think you've also got to look at it on the flip side, especially with a guy like Goldschmidt, with a guy like Alonso. Absolutely, those guys, seeing them at Coors would be fantastic. But those are also guys, are they going to commit to a team that may not make the postseason this year? And especially a Goldschmidt who hasn't got that World Series ring yet. And if he could go to an Astros or, even back to the Diamondbacks for a reunion and have a better chance at winning, I think that's where the Rockies lose out on some of these conversations.
and this might be a conversation for a future pod, but like, how do the Rockies fix that? Like, how it's been so long, like the history just says it's not going to happen. Like, we have these young guys, but what happens when that window closes, or what do we do to sustain that success? Like that we see the Dodgers, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, like they got it figured out at the end of the season. Like they're constantly being competitive, and they're making moves to be competitive and making those changes where, like, I don't know if the Rockies are even able to do that. Like, we're not bringing in starting pitchers, right? Like, who's one of the guys from the Phillies is a free agent this year. Is it Wheeler or Eflin? Or no, it's not Eflin. But I feel like one of them is a free agent this year. Like, it'd be great to have one of those main aces come in and change it. But like, is that guy going to be good? We have no idea. Like, if he pitched in Coors for a full season, how do we get him to come into Coors? And that's the whole argument, right? Like, so at a certain point, you have to lean into the youth movement to see what you have to be able to, like, oh, you mean you got Chase and Sean and Carson, and I can come be a solid 2, 3, 4 guy and push this crew to the top? Like, that sounds fantastic, and let's go do that. But like, how much money does that take? How much money is being willing to push out there? And like, getting these top free agents, it's just, it sucks being a Rockies fan, just because signing to Paul Goldschmidt doesn't seem realistic. Pete Alonso, 0% chance dude man is coming to altitude, 0% chance. And so it's like, all right, so we have to lean into the youth movement, but we don't want to because we want to be competitive. Welcome to the Colorado Rockies experience, I guess.
Yeah, no, that is 100% the experience. I wanted to ask, though, about, kind of pivoting from pitchers to catchers. We're talking about this youth movement, and there's this big question mark right now on what the catching position is going to look like long-term for the Rockies. We've got Drew Romo, who played, really well defensively for the most part in his few months with the Rockies, but did not find his swing. Then you've got Hunter Goodman, who was complete opposite, had, some shaky play behind the plate, but had incredible at-bats in the latter half of the season. And then you got Jacob Stallings, who's probably going to get re-signed, probably renegotiate his re-signing this offseason, given the fact that he played pretty well for what they were expecting out of him last year, but he's not your long-term solution. So, yes, it's great to have Doliner and Sullivan and, all of these young pitchers coming out of the pen. But I think a kind of underrated element of this is what the Rockies do with their catchers, because you want to have a solid catcher who you can trust behind home plate when you have these young arms that hopefully start finding their stuff.
Let me introduce you to Willie McIver. I know he doesn't have the professional piece of it, but all the pitchers that we've talked to on the pod, on the banter sessions, they love pitching to Willie Mack. They trust Willie Mack. They trust Drew Romo. And like, to your point, if you're having these young cats come up, why not have them come up with the person they've been playing with, they trust and they build that rapport with, and they have that connection with, and like, why change that element? I would love to see Willie Mack work his way up. Braxton Fulford should not be slept on either. He has a little bit of a bat, a little bit of a pop, and calls a good game. And the Rockies, I think, are also digging this Jose Cordova cat, who's in Arizona Fall League, who might be a sneaky 2-3 years down the road kind of guy.
Well, and I talked to Aaron a lot about the Rockies' plans for Drew Romo. I mean, he was supposed to be the catcher of the future. And Kevin, I want to ask you, like, where do you think his role is with the Rockies next season?
If I were a betting man right now, I'd say his role starts at AAA next year. And I think part of that is not only that he didn't show the development at the MLB level this year that they expected, but I think, Aaron made a really good point. If he's at AAA, he's probably going to get some more familiarization with some of these guys that are going to be working their way up and be ready to tap on, and pitch at Coors. So I could absolutely see a Stallings, a Goodman combo to open the season. I know Bud Black loves his veteran catchers. I mean, that is one thing about Bud. He loves having that guy behind the plate who's a veteran. And there is no way Stallings is not coming back and he won't be your opening day starter. No way.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dustin Garneau, can he dual role? Can he bullpen coach as well as backup catcher? I don't know. We might see it. I mean, and to the Hunter Goodman piece, maybe you guys can shed some light. I don't know if you talked about it, Christian, but like, What did they do with Hunter Goodman at the end of the season? All up, like I was very frustrated with how they did our man, your mom's favorite player, all season. Sat him on the bench, got playing time. You're hot bat. We're gonna write it. All right, you're gonna sit back on the bench for a month and maybe get a taste here and there, and then we're gonna play you again. And then Drew Romo's up. You're gonna go back down to AAA instead of sticking it out here when we called everybody else up, and we have playing time for you now, but we're gonna send you back down. That confused the crap out of me, and I don't understand that. And it's moves like that make me so frustrated with Colorado Rockies. Like, what is their plan? Because you got Drew Romo. He's the future. He didn't play the last 2-3 weeks, more than two
almost
starts.
A month. Yeah, it was almost a month.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get that. And maybe it's the veteran catcher thing. I don't know. Like, it's so weird to me, like how they're developing a Hunter Goodman, a Drew Romo, when you like the question is, what does the catcher situation look like?
Yeah. Well, I can kind of give you an insight on that. I talked to actually Bud Black about that in the dugout one time before a game, and he kind of mentioned to me in a roundabout way, it's the challenge of towing the line in Major League Baseball between winning games, even when you're not going to the playoffs, but also developing players, and as a big league manager, you have to give credit to the fans who are paying to go to your games to put a lineup out there that you expect is going to win, even if you know that you're not going to the playoffs that year. And so it's great for Rockies fans to sit back and say, my God, who cares if we win these games? I want to see, even if this catcher is struggling in these areas, like I want to see this catcher playing no matter what, give him the playing time, let him fail, all this kind of stuff. And yes, there is some truth to that. But there's also truth to the fact that managers have to win or try to win, and so I think it was that idea of like where there was that inconsistency. It was like, hey, we're going to go with the guy who's kind of hot right now because we have to be winning at least some ball games, and we've got to be putting guys out there that give us the ability to do that, even if we should be giving prospects more of a shot at the end of the year. I think that was just kind of the line they were towing there at the end.
Respectfully, I think that's a cop-out. But
fair. Yes.
I wholeheartedly disagree with that concept and all that. I don't know. But thank you for sharing. Yeah, the catching is going to be interesting next year. It's so like cutting payroll, I don't know. Like they're going to have to get creative before we get to the next part. I think I got about 25 minutes. Is that about right? I know we're on a tight hour. Okay, I forgot to start my timer. But player number 2.
Let's lock in.
To figure it out. Everybody take a deep breath, count to 3, breathe out, count to 3, figure it out, be better than last time. Your second prospect quiz is starting now. Cuban-born player, international free agent in 2021. His first full season in Fresno in 2022, he had 21 dongs. He has a cannon. He ended his year in Albuquerque this year.
Yanquiel Fernandez.
Yeah, that's where I was going to. I was like, it's got to be Fernandez.
34 seconds left. That was probably your best effort, Noah. All right, 1-1.
That would have been a walk-up, by the way. That one felt more like a layup than the first one.
Well, for the first one, all we had to do was know the 2024 draft class, though.
Yeah.
So.
You just needed to know the top 3 guys.
Yeah.
You had 3 guys to know for the first one. All right. So yeah, Yanquiel Fernandez, I think that's a nice little lead in. There's a reason I did that, into the outfield conundrum of these young players. Jake Cave, I think, has elected free agency.
Yes.
Sam Hilliard is still on the books. We got Nolan Jones coming back. We got Brenton Doyle coming back. Charlie's out of the way. There is an open spot. We mentioned Zach Veen earlier. You have Yanquiel Fernandez knocking out the door. You have a bunch of young outfielders kind of crowding the corner, pretty much right field, right? Hunter Goodman would be a part of that. What do we see as the future, the 2025 future of the right field position? Who takes it? Who takes it out of camp? Who has it in August? Who has it in October? Big hopes. But like, who are we kind of looking at to go. Is the player in the system? Is the player on the squad? Is it going to be an outside force that we're bringing in? Noah, Christian, you go first. All right.
Oh, I'll keep it quick so then I can transition to Noah. I think we're going to see the exact same outfield that we saw kind of towards the end of the year, this last year, at least starting. I think Nolan Jones is going to take it in left. Brenton Doyle is going to take it in center. And I think Jordan Beck's going to take it in right. I do think that will change and progress throughout the year, but that's my thought on how it starts.
Yeah, I'm going to agree, but I will say it's not as much of a no-brainer as I thought it would be back in
Correct.
May of this year.
Yep.
Nolan Jones's defense, look, he's got the best arm in the game, but all of a sudden, at the start it was shaky, middle of the year it was solid when he played, and then at the end he overran a couple balls in the same game. All of a sudden, Nolan Jones doesn't quite have left field locked up to the point where we'd want him to, but I think you've got to continue to roll out. I mean, Brenton Doyle, there's no debate. Like, he'll be out there every single day. Hopefully there's no more tendonitis or anything going on with his lower leg. But you got to keep rolling out Jordan Beck and Nolan Jones now, figuring out what you have. And hopefully, this is the year of the Jordan Beck breakout, ideally.
And I'm going to throw out there the wild card, and that is going to be there's going to be a veteran outfielder. It may be a Jake Cave. It may be somebody that we do not expect. I don't think any of us had Jake Cave on our bingo card this time last year. But I do think that there's going to be some veteran outfielder brought in that is going to be ready if Nolan Jones doesn't become Nolan Jones again. Or if, there is an issue with Beck, taking that next step or whatever it might be. And again, I think that's a very familiar place for Bud, is to have that veteran. Even if he's not starting, he's that guy that he's going to pinch hit or he's going to, work into the lineup somehow.
Well, and Sam Hilliard, I think, could also kind of be that guy in a way. Like, Hilliard has his ups and downs, but he still has the ability to hit the ball 500 feet, as he showed in the last game of the year, hitting one up to the Jack Daniels Terrace. And he's a pretty good outfielder, and so, he might be a guy that gets rotated in as well. But I agree with you. I do. And I agree with what Renee had said earlier. She was talking about this is just the Rockies thing. They bring in veteran outfielders specifically, but veteran players to supplement that youth movement that they're in.
Yeah.
And I've got a name. What if the veteran guy that they bring in, and this would be a major surprise, but what if it's Anthony Santander, who just hit 44 homers in Baltimore? That could be a show at Coors Field. There you go. Thumbs up.
Okay, would that be enough then to get the fans excited if you said this is our big free agent guy this year?
45 homers get me excited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you can sell it. Yes. It's definitely an easier sell than what Jake Cave what Jake Cave was earlier.
Yeah.
They had, if Bellinger opts out, he was on the talking piece. Is that an option that we consider? Because there's ties. I don't know.
No.
I'd be shocked.
Cody Bellinger is another Chris Bryant, man. He's on the downslope of his career, been plagued with injuries. He has a very specific swing style that has a ton of holes if he can't find his swing. He's a guy that and he probably costs too much, to be honest. For what he's going to be worth, I would be disappointed if they got Bellinger.
Okay, last name I say, because they love bringing back old friends, Garrett Hampson.
I wouldn't be shocked.
The hamster. All right, next question. Go ahead, Kevin.
No, just one thing real quick. I don't know that Garrett would come back. Just based on some conversation, I'm not sure that he's excited to continue his journey, of course. Let's say.
Why is it that anytime someone leaves the Rockies, it's this just tumultuous relationship that they're just kind of I know that they aren't winning right now, but there's got to be some other deeper issue. And I'm sure fans have tons of opinions on this, but it just feels like it's so there's no like the Nuggets, the Nuggets, guys leave the Nuggets and there's this or the Broncos, there's this love, Von Miller loves the Broncos, Peyton Manning loves the Broncos. The Rockies, it's guys leave and they're done. They don't ever want to talk about the Rockies ever again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just want to see if we're going to get anything for Kevin.
That's a hot potato I'm letting drop. I'm just telling you.
It's fair. It's fair. It's a topic for another day.
Well, there's rumors that Nolan Arenado is going to be traded this winter, so maybe a reunion there.
Can you imagine? Oh my God. Yeah, I actually talked about that on a pod just like a week ago when that rumor came out, the report that the Cardinals were ready to move on from him, and he agreed. The issue is, like, where do you put him? Because I was getting that message. People were like, we should re-sign Arenado. I'm like, okay, well, where do you put him? You move Tovar over to second, put Ryan at short and move him to third, like maybe. But the other thing is, the main thing is, like, dude still wants to win. Like, he left the Rockies because he wants to win. I don't see him coming back for that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. Would Rockies fans welcome Nolan Arenado back?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I'm the salty one.
When he came back for the whole Charlie Blackmon send off, Rockies fans like actually were nice to him, and I was shocked. I mean, he was in all of our content for like a week, and people were like, "Oh, it's so nice to see Nolan back," and it was like, "Whoa, geez, did we just kind of forget how that all ended?"
We forgot whenever that very first standing ovation was given, when the very first time he came back. It was a very short-term memory, and Jeff Bridge was by far and away the villain in everybody's mind, not Nolan.
Yeah.
That is valid. It'll be interesting what they add, because they are adding a veteran presence. I wonder if it's going to be a minor league contract or a major league contract, and see where they come with it. Which current Rocky do you think has the biggest impact on the Rockies' future? I like this question because it can be on the 26-man roster, somebody that's played for the Rockies this past year. Who do you see having that impact to take it to the next level? I've had this conversation with a few people. Does Ezequiel Tovar have superstar on him? Does Brenton Doyle, great second year, right? But does he take the third, fourth year over the top to be that superstar? Who has the ability to be the Freddie Freeman of our 2028 World Series run on this current roster, who is part of that 2028 competition?
Noah,
you ready?
Yeah, I've got two names in my head. On the 26-man roster, the guy I want it to be is Nolan Jones. I think if he exhibits the same superstar potential he had last season, not this most recent one, but the one before, he takes the lineup so much further and adds significant depth as a guy that can hit home runs, he can steal bases, and he's got a rocket arm. But I think, as you kept explaining that question, the guy that can push the Rockies to hopefully an eventual World Series, it's got to be Chase Dollander. I mean, he has the most electric stuff in the whole system, and I think that he's going to be the one that, if the Rockies are in the postseason within the next couple of years, he's going out there and he's starting the first game of the series.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, and Noah, you and I have also talked about this. If there is a lineup in which Nolan Jones, Brenton Doyle, Ezequiel Tovar, Ryan McMahon, and Michael Toglia are all hitting to their peak of what they can be hitting offensively, I think the Rockies are a competitive team just with that alone. I mean, obviously you got to have pitching. I mean, I'm talking offense, obviously you got to have pitching, defense, all that stuff taken care of, but just offense alone, if you can get 5 out of your 9 guys at their peak, that's solid. Like, that's a really good lineup. And so I think Nolan Jones has the potential to be the X factor, the person who I think is going to launch them into success. I think Brenton Doyle's the guy, the superstar. He's your Bobby Witt Jr. He's your, we were just talking about him. I'm spacing on his name. San Diego Padres center fielder. Merrill. Thank you. Jackson Merrill. That's Brenton Doyle. The guy that you can advertise to a playoff fan base to say, this is the guy to watch on the Colorado Rockies. Brenton Doyle's that guy for me.
I agree completely. I'm a Brenton Doyle guy. I think, we've talked a lot about outfield questions tonight. None of them are revolved around center field. And so I think that's a big statement right there, is just knowing you've got that guy playing a premium position with defense, what he can do at the plate, everything. I think he's really your tent pole moving forward.
So I agree. Doyle, I think, is kind of that. What more do we need to see from Doyle in 24, 25 to really be that superstar where pitchers are actually worried about him? He made great strides. Things went down, strikeouts went down, walks went up, power was still there. I was right on point with the 2020 season. So like what is next to take him to that superstar next level?
He's got to do it for an entire year. He played really well the second half of the season. I need a full season out of him. 162 games of second half Brenton Doyle. I think he's an all-star if he plays the way he did in the second half of the year. Or at least an all-star candidate, So I think Doyle, if he plays the whole year like that, he's your guy.
And I'm just going to add on to that. I think he's got to do that, and he's got to do it from the leadoff position. I think he's got to be established as your leadoff hitter, your weapon right at the top, the way Charlie was those few years, So I think if Brenton could do that, that's a big move.
No, that's a great point, because Bud Black has penciled in Charlie Blackmon at the top of his lineup for so long now. And that's kind of a question that no one's talking about. Who's going to fill in at leadoff? Because it's not an easy position to play in the lineup. I mean, you're going out there, you're getting the most at-bats in the season. And I think a lot of people think it might be Tovar. And he did do some of that. But with Brenton Doyle's speed, I would assume he's got to be the favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. And the swing and miss that Tovar has makes him being the leadoff a little bit sketchy for me.
Agreed.
I want to answer that. My question with like the biggest impact, I think Michael Toglia has to be the ceiling that Michael Toglia is. Like we saw up in Michigan, I see with the Tigers all the time with Torkelson, right? Like he was supposed to be this guy. He was supposed to be the heavy bopper, and he's supposed to carry the franchise. We need somebody at first base who can just hit a bomb whenever we need it to happen. And Toglia kind of showed that this year. He found the pop. I don't want that to be a flash in the pan. I think it needs to be a little bit more consistent. Give me 30 home runs, be the true three outcome guy, kind of guy that he is. I think I'm okay with that. But if he doesn't become a 30, 40 home run guy at first base in the next year or two, I think Rockies are scrambling for another few years to kind of like to your point, Christian, if we're going 5 deep in that lineup, Toglia has to be that 5th one that you're worried about constantly. Otherwise, we're back to square one at first base. I love Grant Levine, but he hasn't shown the depth, the progression, the development, so to speak, over these last few years. So I don't know what they do at first base. So I think Toglia really has to step up.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that take because it takes the Rockies to the next
level. Your final prospect quiz. I know I'm short on time. I got 10 minutes. Your final third prospect. Can you guys defeat me? Probably not. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. This player went to Adrian College. He was signed as an undrafted free agent in 2022 or 2020. He made 43 appearances in 2024 across Hartford and Albuquerque. Had a 0.66 ERA in his first 8 pro games in Fresno. I'm waiting for Brian to answer it. Australian Summer League in 22-23.
See a southpaw?
No, he's right. What'd you say, Christian?
Is it Sullivan?
Nope. Only the true BSB. I'm a little disappointed in right now. He was a third baseman in college.
Oh, gosh.
He played independent ball in Michigan and Gary, Indiana.
God, man. I do not know at all.
Oh, I'm so mad at you, Noah. I think you might be cut from the team.
No,
Brian, save it. Dugan Darnell. If you know BSB, you know Dugan Darnell's story. And Noah, I need you to take a deep breath. You might not be on.
Noah's been expelled. He's now QB2.
Yeah, you're going to the corner with a dunce hat.
That's Aaron's guy. He basically started BSB. So yeah,
he's the only reason we are around. Absolutely. Love Dugan Darnell. I need him to get a call up next year. He is he's Rule 5 eligible, I believe, this year. So I'm hoping he's still in the Rockies, and he's working hard. He's still doing his thing up here, training in Michigan here. So I'm excited for a little Dugan Darnell in purple there.
Can I just say one of the things I'm most excited about this next year, and I know there's a lot of things that we're kind of anxious about, questions that we're trying to answer here and hypotheticals and all of that, but it's exciting to have this idea that that the Rockies lineup that we're going to see could be completely different than, anything any of us can expect. And I know that's also partially really stressful, but there is some enjoyment to that of just like, who's going to be the guy? Like, is Chase Dollander going to be the next Paul Skeens? Is Yanquiel Fernandez going to be your next outfielder? Like, is Charlie Condon going to come out of nowhere, and rise his way up to the big leagues and be that first round pick? Like, there's so many questions that we get to answer over the next few years that it is an exciting time. Now, obviously you want to pair that with winning, but there's a lot of things that we could be surprised by, hopefully positively.
100%. That's the hope on the horizon that makes this so much fun, because there are so many questions at every single position. I still will stand on the top of the mountain, saying that our starting pitching prospect depth is unmatched across the major league. It is easily a top 5 depth piece in the developing down below. Like, we can see 5 or 6, I think, starting pitchers next year in major leagues and have some kind of success that we haven't seen in a long time. Like right away, Dollander, Sullivan, Palmquist, they're all going to make moves. You can throw in a dog like Jared Candy in there. I think Jeff Criswell could be a solid starter if he controls that a little bit, but I think he might have a different role. Like, there is the dogs that are coming up, and you got Charlie Condon, right? Like, we're not going to look at his stats from his time in Spokane in 2024, but obviously they were working on something with him. But like, he's most major league ready to go. Like, is he the answer at first? And so there's so many questions that makes it so much fun. It's just every year we talk about this excitement, but then they're doing guys like Hunter Goodman and Ilaris Montero. We haven't even mentioned Montero and his future with the Rockies. Like, the way they're developing these guys at the major league level, that makes it so frustrating. And it makes me so scared about this developing the players, but like, what are we doing once they're up top?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I know we only have a little bit of time for, a couple more questions, but this was my favorite on the rundown you sent. My favorite question that you have in there that I want to make sure we hit is the last one that says, if you could steal any current major leaguer and put him on the Rockies for the next 10 years, who would it be? And it can't be a player currently in the World Series. I love that question. So Aaron, I wanted to ask you that first. If you could do that in your hypothetical world, aside from all the incredible prospects we have and the guys we've got on the team now, who would be the guy that you could steal from another team?
I mean, it has to be Paul Skeens, right? Like, it's the starting pitcher. That's the only answer. That's the right one.
Yeah,
like,
he's the only answer to me.
Being a dog that has that ability just to be lights out, shut out, and has the swag to match it and can handle whatever you throw at him, is Paul Skeens.
And it's just the Hollywood aspect of it too. Like, that's why I feel so good about Brenton Doyle, because people are starting to realize how much of a superstar Brenton Doyle can be. Like, Skeens is already that superstar, and he brings a lot of eyes. And so, I've been watching this World Series, and, I'm seeing these teams that are competing in the playoffs in the World Series, and every team has that guy or pair of guys, or in the World Series case, a lineup of guys that everyone in baseball knows, whether you're a Dodgers fan, Yankees fan, whatever. I would talk to Kevin about the Royals, and like, there are those names on the Royals that everyone knows, even if you're not a Royals fan. And Doyle for us can be that guy in my eyes. Skeens was going to be my pick too. He has to be.
Noah, give me a position player that you would add to.
I was going to say Bobby Witt Jr., so I'm glad he threw in the Royals at the end. That's where I would go. And I just think the way that he can hit for average and power at Coors Field, and with his speed, come on.
Yeah. Kevin, position player?
I'll throw out a weird one. And I know age is a factor here if we're talking 10 years, but give me Bryce Harper. Give me Harper and just solidify that DH spot. the rest of the time. And if you want to hit there for 10 years, man, that is fantastic with me. I love the edge.
Well, now I feel like every time he comes to Coors Field, he gets ejected. So
yeah, and he also, I've heard the things he said about the Rockies. I don't know if we want to.
I know. Hey, perfect world, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Perfect world.
Yes,
Hey,
in a
Bryce.
perfect world. I also, this one I just thought of. What about Ethan Holiday or Jackson Holiday? Jackson Holiday with his dad, Matt Holiday, and the history there. And I know Jackson's young. You know, there's a lot of things he still has to prove. So I don't know if he'd be my number one pick. But how interesting would that be if Jackson Holiday was a Colorado Rockies player and just, you know, out of nowhere kind of came onto the scene and kind of continued the lineage of Holiday players? Like, hey, that could be something.
I think if they draft Ethan Holiday, have the ability to draft Ethan Holiday, you gotta take a shot.
yes.
Because if you're gonna lose, why not have Holidays in playing? And there's 0% chance fans don't show up for that.
Yeah, Ethan Holiday would be a huge get. You know, I mean, like you said, it's all about bringing people in that are gonna, you know, expand the fan base, you know, get eyes from other markets. And, you know, if you want to be a successful team, you can't just be good in Colorado. You know, we've talked about the home record for the Rockies at Coors Field. It's great, but, you know, you got to be able to play well on the road and in front of other fans too. So, yeah, give me all the Holiday kids.
Yeah, and if they go out and get Ethan Holiday, then they have to go get Hop's son, Drake, and bring him on too, and then have a whole next generation Rockies team to bring us back.
Let's do it all. Absolutely, 100%. Rob in the comments, with all due respect to you, gentlemen, but the Nuggets just owned their second straight OT game, and we're talking Rockies. Rob, the World Series is on.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, hey, you could also we have a DNVR Nuggets post game show going on right after this. So why not talk Rockies, then go watch some Nuggets post game?
Yeah, you figured it out, Rob. We're fine. You joined us. You obviously care a little
options, right?
Like, you have so many options. You're the one that decided to pop in on this, Rob. Come on now. All right, let's end it with that. Let's have a good night. We got top seven, 6-4 Yankees. I guess everybody kind of plug away where we can find everybody and go from there. We'll start with you, Christian.
Yeah. You guys can find us at DNVR_Rockies or myself at CJJ Saez. We got pods Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's going to be a busy offseason. Talking to Drew Goodman on the pod tomorrow for us at 12:15. So come hang with us then.
I'm at KGH23 on Twitter or X or whatever the cool kids are calling it now. And just, absolutely writing on Just Baseball and popping on pods whenever people let me come on. So I appreciate the time, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm at Noah Spirek on Twitter or Instagram, and I write with Blake Street Banter. So I appreciate all of you guys that were in the chat throughout the entire time, especially Renee. Thanks for help carrying the conversation.
Yeah, Brian, Renee hanging out. Appreciate that. Blake Street Banter. Find us on all the socials. Blake ST Banter on the Twitter and the Instagram. And we cover all things, mostly Colorado Rockies minor league baseball. We cover it pretty in depth. So go ahead and give us a follow and check out the website, blakestreetbanter.com. And as always, go Rocks. Woo!
We all silly like the mayor.